any discussion of world affairs comes back to him. How much, have you been surprised by the direction of his second term? A lot of people, when he was re-elected, said, okay, we kind of know what he's like. We've seen him in office before, but is this a different Trump that we're dealing with the second time around?
I'll take the easier one first.
Yeah.
Sure.
The
thoughts which are going on. Let me pick up on two things which Lana said. I think the truth is, to a great deal, everybody has that sense of it's not my war. We don't admit it at times, but it's very natural, because at the end of the day, the more stakes you have, the closer it is to you, the more vested you are. It's your war. And for somebody else, the further away they are, it's not their war. I think there needs to be a degree of understanding of that. And the expectation that, my war, as I said, I've had this statement thrown back at me repeatedly, so I don't repeat, I don't want to dwell on it too far, but I think the expectation that in the sense Ukraine, because it is so strong in Europe's calculus, is therefore shared by the rest of the world to the same degree, is no more reasonable than the rest of the world. Each region would have its own priorities. So again, because we keep coming back to Russian oil, look, when we didn't buy significant amount of Russian oil till 2022. Circumstances compelled us to get into that market. And I must say, the Russians have been steady suppliers because they put the cargoes out there, and you go out there and buy oil, whichever is the most reasonable and available oil. But I do want people to remember this. At that time, the US specifically asked India to buy Russian oil to stabilize the world markets. Yeah. Okay? Right now, if you see, after having first put tariffs on us last year for buying Russian oil, the US then again lifted its sanctions
because
on Russian oil.
They need the oil price down again. Yeah.
So let's not pretend that there is some great principle involved here. I mean, if it is on, off, and do it when it suits us and don't do it when it doesn't suit us. I mean, come on, we are all adults in the room. We know what the game is. So I don't think making this about sanctimony is really warranted. Okay?
Well, if you don't like sanctimony, then Donald Trump's your guy. He's very frank about. But
wait, hang on. I have one other point.
Yeah, please.
And that's the resilience point. Because you asked me, saying, what are you doing other than, what can you do other than being a frustrated observer? No, I think, look, there are immediate responses, there are short-term, medium-term responses. What, for example, we heard from Lana is UAE, for example, is de-risking by trying to build alternative evacuation routes for its energy. So what we're going to see to some degree is the Gulf itself de-risk the Gulf. Okay? To some extent, the rest of the world will work with the region also to build redundancy, and the IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, is envisaged as one such initiative. But the third one, which is really interesting, I cite my own country as an example. Today, our largest oil supplier, little less than 40% is Russia. Our largest gas supplier is the United States. And that was not the case till the 28th of February of this year. The main supplier was Qatar.
Sure.
So what is happening is the world is also de-risking on the region. People are looking for alternative energy sources and saying, okay, I'm prepared to buy at longer distance, maybe at a higher cost, but there is a greater security about it, predictability about it. So what I see in a way is that the global energy scenario will fundamentally change after this. Now, I'm not unidimensional. I'm not saying, for example, in India's case, our relationship with the Gulf is only about oil. As I said, we have many other factors, including people, talent, skills, business, security. But definitely the way the energy flows were on the 27th of February before this war started, it's going to be significantly different, possibly irreversibly different, once this phase is over.